Hey, free agents, take your time signing with teams.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the podcast we talk about all of Major League Baseball. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. And thank you for helping make the Locked On Podcast Network the number one sports podcasting network. And on tomorrow's show, I'm going to be announcing the launching of all new places to land on social media, including the launching of our Discord page for the Everydayers Club. Hey, today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode, so visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the National Football League, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. And let's go over the trivia question, which is one of the only bits of news we're going to get in baseball. The trivia question I had was, what two future Hall of Famers played for manager Luke Appling in the A's last season in Kansas City? That was the trivia question. And a couple of you got it right, including Gavin D. Luhash, 2994, Reginald Jackson, and James Hunter. Reggie Jackson and Catfish Hunter were indeed on that team, the last A's team in Kansas City. I actually had to look up. I was not sure if future Hall of Famer Raleigh Fingers also played on that team. He did not play on the final team in Kansas City. That's one of the great what-ifs. If the A's had stayed in Kansas City, they would have had the Truman Center Sports Center, which had Arrowhead Stadium and the stadium we now call Kauffman Stadium. If they had had that baseball-only stadium in Kansas City and had the likes of Catfish Hunter and Reggie Jackson and Joe Rudy and Bert Campaneris and Sal Bando and Vida Blue and, I mentioned Bert Campaneris and, Rick Monday, all the players who wound up being part. Monday was later traded for Ken Holtzman, but all those players who were part of the great Oakland A's championship teams, if they had stayed in Kansas City and had their dynasty in Kansas City, I wonder how A's would be different today. It's one of those what ifs. But, that's, by the way, that's a telling thing that I could sit here on this day and talk about a what if from the 1960s about the fate of the A's and how that would have meant we would not have had the Kansas City Royals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because nobody's signing. Nobody is signing. When I took a couple of weeks to, off, I recorded a bunch of evergreen episodes, so there were new episodes, all throughout the week. But I was a little nervous. Oh God, there's so many free agents still available. Someone's gonna sign. I may have to do an emergency episode. Nope, I was safe. I was absolutely safe. Almost all, the big free agents. Tucker was the big kahuna, right? That was the big fish. That was the big marlin, and I don't mean from the team. I mean the big one to reel in. Kyle Tucker, Alex Bregman, Bo Bichette, Cody Bellinger, and that doesn't even count the next tier. But those are of the top 6 or 7 free agents. 4 of them are unsigned. Alonso signed, Diaz signed, and Schwarber signed. That's of the big free agents. That's it, and they signed pretty early. But we're still waiting, and because of that, it's like this. It's like a log jam. It is a staring contest. It is, was it the hands on a hard body? It's they shoot horses, don't they? It's a big, long, who's going to blink ending of the good, the bad, and the ugly. Someone please blink. Because do you know what this weekend is? This weekend, it'll be the first weekend of the NFL playoffs. Fine, cool. I actually enjoy those. I don't really follow football, but there you go. But it will be the 10th of January on Saturday, which is the middle part of January. We will be in mid-January. Dr. King's birthday is right around the corner. And what's also right around the corner? Spring training. That's right. Spring training starting early this year because of the World Baseball Classic. And it's going to start in a few weeks, spring training. And the main guys aren't signed. And if I were a middle tier team or even like a lower budget team, I'd start really calling up, hey, Zach Gallen. Hey, Lucas Giolito. Hey, Chris Bassett. Hey, Luis Ariz. I know people don't like Luis Ariz because all he does is get hits. But hey, what if your guy just gets hits to be your number 2 hitter? I don't understand why that's a bad thing. Hey, Ranger Suarez. Hey, Rhys Hoskins. Hey, JT Realmuto. Hey, Harrison Bader. Just sign them. Offer them contracts. Because, wouldn't you like to have, I don't know, employment? And the thing is that once you see the ice break and Tucker and Cody Bellinger and Bo Bichette and Alex Bregman, the major 4 ones there, and I'll throw Framber Valdez in there too. I don't know why he's not being talked about as a big, huge free agent. So, you have a frontline starter in Framber Valdez, another front, the number 2 or 3 starter Ranger Suarez if you're a contender, Tucker, Bregman, Bichette, Bellinger. 6 major ones and a lot of other really good ones out there. Please, someone sign. Please, Tucker. They're kicking the tires with on the Blue Jays, but the Blue Jays are also kicking the tires on Bo Bichette. So, and then the Yankees, who need a starting pitcher, because once Rodon and Garrett Cole come back from injury, they're going to have a very deep start rotation, provided that they're healthy and are playing up to the top level. But you're not banking on that. And until then, you could have the first third of the season with giant holes in the rotation. It would behoove the Yankees to, I don't know, why not sign Ranger Suarez? Why not sign Framber Valdez? Why not sign Lucas Giolito? What's stopping them from doing that? Because they haven't signed Bellinger yet? Well, you still have to do more than one thing. But, the Blue Jays would talk about Tucker. Are you going to sign him or not? Are the Cubs going to bring him back? Probably not. Are the Dodgers going to sign him? I don't know, and neither do you. Are the Yankees going to? The Mets? Someone better sign him. If I were a team like the Pirates, I would be starting knocking on the door. I've been saying the Marlins should be signing major league players and put things. I'll get to the Marlins a little bit in the second segment, but let's go. It's getting to be a little rough right now. To every single day, I'm clicking on MLB trade rumors like this. Refresh. I've done it twice since I've started recording this. Let's do it again. Anyone sign? MLB has internal conversation about in-season tournament. I'll talk about that tomorrow, or maybe over the weekend, because I don't know what to say about that. Come on, let's just have I don't need in-season tournaments. I need free agents signed. That's making news because we're still waiting. Tucker, sign with the Blue Jays, Cubs. So we got to go. Bregman is the one. The Red Sox. Red Sox should just sign him right now, or Arizona, or the Cubs, or somebody. Bo Bichette. Go back to Toronto. Come on, you want to win in Toronto. But if you don't want to, fine. Just sign Cody Bellinger. Doesn't everybody think Cody Bellinger's going to sign with the Yankees? What are we waiting for? What are you waiting for? I thought Cody, I had to be reminded that he's unsigned. And with that ice, if you're Eugenio Suarez, if you're Zach Gallen, you go like, I need a job too. There is going to be such a tidal wave of players frantically signing, the Rhys Hoskins of the world, the Harrison Baders of the world, even the Justin Verlanders of the world. There's going to be such a tidal wave of players who are not signing with teams. Again, if you're a mid-level team or a team like Cleveland who needs some big hitters or something like that, just start offering contracts now. Because players are going to be a little bit, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Panicked. Maybe this is why, Trent Grisham immediately signed the qualifying offer. Granted, I can't believe the Yankees gave him a qualifying offer, because I think they probably thought he was going to turn it down. But it was like, no, I'll sign it. You're going to offer me that? Boom. But let's go. It's starting to get annoying. I'm sorry. It's starting to get a little bit stale here. I want to analyze some moves, but it's tough to analyze moves without moves. But I will do a little bit. I will, because there was a trade that was made, and a trade that, quite frankly, I can't believe the Yankees didn't make. And there were three major free agent signings, all because they had a deadline. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Opening the FanDuel app during Happy Hour always brings new boosts, bonuses, and surprises. It's the easiest way to check the weekly special before tip-off and make a move before the window closes. The timing is perfect. Right before the games, right before the weekend starts. It adds extra energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Thanks so much for making Locked On MLB your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. If you haven't already, go check out the Everydayer Club. You get free audio of the Locked On MLB show, and it's similar to Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And coming soon, this week, we're going to be having the Everydayer Club on Discord. So go check us out at lockedonmlb.supercast.com. Now, there was a deal that was made, and I think it's an interesting one. The Miami Marlins sent Edward Cabrera packing to the Chicago Cubs, and they got Owen Cassie. Is that this is the first time I've ever said his name out loud. Forgive me. I don't say every person's name out loud. Owen Cassie, and a couple other young hitters were sent packing to the Miami Marlins. They were, and now I think this is, first of all, let's break down what the Cubs are getting. The Cubs needed a frontline starter. They had a good year last year. Obviously, they fell short to Milwaukee in both the division and in the division series. They got, Matthew Boyd and Colin Ray and Imanaga were all solid pitchers for them last year. Cade Horton probably should have won the Rookie of the Year, but they needed a frontline starter on that squad. And they went out and they shopped around, and Edward Cabrera, who was really seemed to be rumored to going possibly to the New York Yankees, was sent packing. And Cabrera had a good year. Pitched 137 2/3 innings and a 3.53 ERA. He's going to be he's 28 years old, and or will be 28 in April. So for the most part of this year, he'll be 28 years old. This was his first really full season in terms of going through a full season without a lot of injuries and has ups and downs. He's had one half season that was pretty good in 2022. He had a very good year last year, and he was part of the 2023 team that went to the wild card series for the Marlins, but didn't pitch in the postseason that year. Now, and the Cubs got who they wanted, and there you go. I think it seems like a fine trade, and the Cubs, they needed a move like this. Now, it did cost them. Casey is their top prospect, and he is a power hitting outfield prospect. Now, he's only played a handful of games in the major leagues, and a prospect is a prospect until they are proven otherwise. But what the Marlins needed to put on their squad was they need to get some more good power hitters on the team. Kyle Stowers is an all-star. Augustin Ramirez is a good power hitter, probably a lousy catcher, probably should be the DH. If Casey can fit in center field or right field, where they got some production out of Jesus Sanchez, but It would be nice if they can get a real solid major league hitter on that squad, and maybe Otto Lopez continues to hit. They need to get a bat in there. Now, I've been saying I do not want Miami to be rebuilding. And if Casey is an everyday player, if Casey is indeed a major leaguer, then they got themselves a major league outfielder for all the controlled years. And they also got they got an infielder. Christian Hernandez is an infielder who played, I think it was, I saw he was a big prospect a bunch of years ago with the Cubs, played in single A last year. And the other player that they got was named Edgardo De Leon, who is a 20, or he's an 18-year-old who is just in the rookie leagues. We probably won't see him for 4 or 5 years. So the Marlins better hope that some of those players really, blossom. But Casey is the interesting one. He could be a major league player right now. He could be a legit outfielder if he fits in well with the Miami situation. He was the number one prospect in the Cubs. Now, remember the Marlins, the second half of last year were good. And remember the Marlins are playing in the National League where it's top heavy, but you can sneak in there as a wild card team. And the Marlins did exactly that in 2023. Now, they did trade away one of their top pitchers. If Sandy Alcantara can turn it around, and he had a bad year last year, but he was pitching well by the second half of the season. Yuri Perez is a talented young pitcher. Jansen Junk is a talented pitcher. Yes, they traded away Edward Cabrera, but I mentioned at the beginning of the show, there is going to be a giant glut of free agents. If Miami can bring in a legitimate major league pitcher, I'm not even talking about Framber Valdez, I'm not talking about Ranger Suarez, just a true major league pitcher to put into the rotation to take Cabrera's spot in the rotation, then I have a little bit of trust that the Marlins will wind up having a decent year. They finished the season very strong, and they had a few bumps in the road, but by the end of the year they were flirting with 500, and they went on that big long win streak. Now they beat up Colorado and Texas, weren't great teams, but they pulled within 77 and 80 by the end. If they had a great run towards the end, if they finished well against the Phillies, they would have a legit shot at 500. Now, they lost that series to Philadelphia, which torpedoed their chance to finish at 500. But it won't take much of an effort to get them over the hump, which is why this glut of free agents, I mentioned this earlier in the year, in the offseason, this glut of free agents could help the Marlins. You don't need to sign into a big, huge honking deal. Make sure there are major league players on this roster. And if you get a decent major league pitcher to replace Cabrera, who is not a guarantee. Yes, he's young. He had a fine year last year. He's had injury issues. He's had one very good year. Now, he could wind up having a great year with the Cubs, and I hope he does. I want this to be a trade that helps with it. I like the Cubs. I have nothing wrong against the Cubs. I would love to see, did I call them the Tubs? Well, I'm just thinking about Miami, Crockett and Tubbs. Anyway, I want to see the Marlins contend. They were a fun team at the end of last year. They were a fun team in 2023 when they made the freaking playoffs. But some of the trades that they made wound up working out for them. So let's see if this trade works out for them as well. But it seems like it was the right trade to make for Chicago. I don't know why they didn't pull off the trade with the Yankees, who need a pitcher like him. But it was certainly a move that the Marlins said, we're going to get your top prospect for him. We're not going to get a big pile of prospects. We want one that we can look at and say, you could be a major leaguer. Now, if Casey turns on to be the next, Matt Laporta, a big honking prospect who never quite panned out, then this could blow up in the Marlins' face. But they pulled off the Jazz Chisholm trade last year well. They've done some good deals lately. They could be pulling things off as they raided the Tampa Bay Rays front office. And the Rays used to always win these kind of trades. Keep an eye on the Marlins. They're tiptoeing to 500. Play the free agent game right. See if this Casey is a major league player. And you know what? We may see some fish this October. And I don't mean the band. Let's be real. Managing your finances can feel overwhelming. Between subscriptions you forgot about, bills that keep going up, and trying to figure out where all your money actually goes each month, it's easy to feel like you're losing control. And who has time to keep track of every transaction and hunt down every single hidden fee? That's where Rocket Money comes in, the personal finance app that helps you take control. And you know what? It finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. I was really surprised when Rocket Money showed me that I was paying for multiple gym subscriptions that I completely forgot about, and it already saved my money. And do you know what? It helps me track my subscriptions and helps me cancel them right with the app. No more hunting down customer service numbers. And you can set budgets, goals, set personalized insight, receive real-time alerts for large transactions, upcoming bills, and low balances. So let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/locked-on. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. rocketmoney.com/locked-on. One of the only bits of free agent signing that have happened have been with the Japanese stars where there was a deadline. Maybe we should have a deadline with free agent signings. Maybe we should say, you know what, you got to sign all these free agent signings by December 31st. Get them ready. Be allowed to have teams be able to put together their season ticket packages. The three big signings, Kazuma Okamoto was signed a 4-year deal with Toronto, power hitter, third baseman, probably best to be at first base, but it looks like they're going to play him at third. That may mean the end of the Bichette era, but you don't know. Maybe it won't. They want to have Clement. They want to have, they want to be able to and have Jimenez be in their infield and be able to maybe have some maneuverability with some of the other players. I still think Bichette on that team and give them depth. If anyone ever asks, well, where is someone going to play? Just wait. Injuries show up. Injuries always answer the question, where are they going to play? And the Blue Jays have that mentality of saying, hey, he's the power hitter we wanted. We got him. Where does he fit? We'll figure that out. They just want to win a World Series title. Tatsuya Imai signed a 3-year deal with the Astros. I was a little, again, this is another instance. I was surprised he didn't go to the New York Yankees or the New York Mets. I thought he was heading to New York either way. Both those franchises, especially the Mets, need a starting pitcher. Now, I absolutely think that the Houston Astros, who signed him, made a smart move. The Mariners won the division last year. They almost got to the World Series. But remember, the Astros were in first place by themselves in mid-September. If they had a better final couple of weeks, they would have been the ones to win the division. So they're not that far away. I think that I really, they got Hunter Brown. Hunter Brown's terrific. I really think they should bring back Framber Valdez. Along with Amai, I think that would make a great 1-2-3 in their starting rotation and make them a borderline lock. I think that would make them a lock to make it to the postseason again with the Astros. And you roll your dice and take your chances and bang that trash can and see what you got. But we'll see what happens because, Valdez isn't signed yet. So maybe they are going to do that. So I bet it was a smart move there. If he's going to be the best pitcher available, go ahead and bring him in. What's the worst thing that could happen? And we're talking Murakami, who I thought was going to sign with the Los Angeles Dodgers, signed with the White Sox. I love this move for the White Sox because they've stunk. As recently as 2021, they looked like they were going to be the Reitman Inc. division winner for the next bunch of years. And then they suddenly had one of the worst seasons in the history of modern baseball and weren't that much better. Well, they were 20 some odd games better. It was still a 100-loss team. I like this move for this main reason. It's all these moves have tons of opt-outs and everything like that. So this may be only a one and done for any of these players. But Murakami apparently is a big power hitter, big crowd pleaser. And do you want to give White Sox fans something to cheer for? They're not going to win piddly-poo next year. Although they do have some good young players on that team, they're not going to win piddly-poo. But give fans something to cheer about. Get in on this. Get in on this. getting part of the Japanese fans watching you and getting some of the additional money from overseas. Looks like the Dodgers aren't ruining baseball. Because it looked like for a while they're going to turn their team basically into the World Baseball Classic squad for Japan. But they didn't. There were three major free agents, and none of them landed even in the state of California, much less the Dodgers. So good for the White Sox for at least saying, hey, we're going to at least try to put something decent on the field. Because, we talked about the A's yesterday and the absolute mess that they're in, this self-inflicted mess that they're in, the stupidity of that front office, and the tanking of the team, the sabotage of the team, and that led to the situation of the A's crashing on the couch in Sacramento for what will be a presidential term. And if you went to Netflix, go to Netflix and watch the great documentary, Who Killed the Montreal Expos. And you saw that one of the things that a very similar thing happened with the A's, happened with Montreal, that there was a sabotage that was happening with ownership and then the total lack of ownership of the team as they basically just let the stadium decay, let the team fall apart and say, well, no one showed up. I guess we better go. Well, there was the possibility of that happening with Chicago, with the stadium, not the greatest stadium in the world, and them being absolutely terrible, coming off of a division title in 2021, being absolutely horrible the last bunch of years, the attendance declining, and potential new ownership playing footsie with the city of Nashville. I was starting to think, oh no, let's not have this be Expos, A's, White Sox, all of them linked together. Well, a signing like this shows at least, hey, we're trying to put something entertaining on the field. And you know what? I'm all for that because, in some ways, if we can't give you a title, let's at least hit some home runs and do something entertaining. And sign players, unlike everything else. I'm going to refresh MLB trade rumors to see is there anything left other than arbitration stuff and Tarek Skubal not agreeing to an arbitration figure. Hey, the Rangers signed reliever Patrick Murphy. That's exciting. Oh boy, just somebody sign. Would you please? Would you please? And by the way, thanks so much for tuning into Locked On MLB. Maybe tomorrow I'll announce someone signed. You want subscribe and follow to this podcast. And I'm promising tomorrow we're going to get up the Discord and some of our new social media handles and check out lockedonmlb.supercast.com and join the Everydayer Club for ad-free shows and for that Discord access that's going to start up soon. So head over to, as I said before, lockedonmlb.supercast.com. And for those of you in video, going to go over to the first ever 24/7 Locked On National Podcast Network on YouTube and audio. Just check us out here, and thanks for making us your first listen. Let's go to the trivia question, shall we? Trivia question is this. What 17-year Major League veteran and World Series champ born on this day was named after Hall of Famer Stan Musial? Someone who played 17 years in the Major Leagues, won a World Series for his trouble, and was born on this day, and named after Hall of Famer Stan Musial. Put your answers right down here on the YouTube. Talking about the players who will not sign. Watch me wake up and they all sign at once. This has been Locked On MLB. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.